What are your strengths? Best answer. Okay, so this is the question. What are your strengths? Now, you can be asked this, obviously, in a job interview. You could be asked this in a job application, okay? But regardless of where and when you're asked it, you pretty much give the same answer, okay? This is actually a really good question to be asked in a job interview. This is the kind of question you want to be asked, because a lot of the questions that are standard in job interviews, they're almost like an ambush. Their goal is to trap you, to get you to reveal negative things about yourself, where you undermine your case, that you're trying to make for being the best candidate, right? Well, this isn't that type of question. This is not a trick question. It's not a trap. They're giving you the open floor to sell yourself and explain how you're the best candidate and why these people should forget all the other candidates and hire you. Okay, so that's what this is, and this is great. Okay, now this question, okay, what are your strengths? It's actually kind of almost interchangeable with a couple of other questions. For example, why should we hire you? How would you answer, why should we hire you? You would and remember, they're asking, why should we hire you, right? Not like, why should we hire someone, but why should we hire you instead of somebody else? You're going to make a case for yourself and say, well, this is why I kick ass, right? So it's very, very similar to this question. What are your strengths? What are your strengths? Well, I'm going to give you reasons why I kick ass and I'm the best candidate, right? It's the same answer, even though it's a different question. The other question that it's similar to is, why do you want to work here? It's like, well, I want to work here because I kick ass at doing this kind of thing. That's why I want to work here. You guys are looking for someone who can do this. I rule at doing that, right? And this is why you should hire me. So it's all the same thing. You're going to say positive things about yourself, okay? All these questions are very, very similar, okay? And before we get there, I just want to say, this is really what the whole purpose of the job interview is for you. It's to explain to them why they should hire you, why you're a perfect fit, why they won't regret hiring you, why you'll be how you'll be able to do the job perfectly. That's what you're there to say to these people. You're not there to explain what your weaknesses are. You're not there to explain where you see yourself in 5 years. You're there to sell yourself and give them reasons why they should pick you, right? So that's why this question is great, because they're asking you the perfect question that sums up the whole reason why you're even there, okay? So let's move on. Okay, and hi to Talia Watts, who is just here. That's an awesome name, by the way, Talia. Okay, so here's the first big challenge of this question. The reason why a lot of people fail, actually, okay, is because when you answer the question, what are your strengths? Obviously, you're going to say things that you consider strengths. You're going to say things about yourself that you think are good, that maybe you're proud of, right? Now, the problem is that this isn't like you writing an autobiography where all that matters is I think these things are good, so I'm going to say them, right? No, you're down here to tell them what they want to hear. And if they don't hear what they want you to say, they're going to reject you, okay? So the only thing that matters is not what you consider a strength, it's what the interviewer considers a strength. Now, you probably don't fully understand what I'm talking about, because strengths are strengths, right? Wrong. Let's see if I can give you an example of this. Let's say you're being asked this question, and you've come down to apply for a job where you have to be, say, a project manager, okay? Now, a project manager, there's a whole variety of different skills that you can have, and they can be things that you would need to have to be a project manager, right? On the one hand, you could have project managers can be very technical people. Like if you're running, a project that involves accounting, right? You might have one or two accountants on your team, or you could have no accountants on your team. You just have to be an accountant and really keep up with costs and, all this kind of stuff and track the progress of a construction project or something, right? So you need to have strong technical skills and accounting skills, but maybe you don't even manage a team and you don't really interface with a lot of other people. So people skills are not really that high on the list, right? However, other project management jobs, you hardly need technical skills, but you need a lot of people skills because you're running around coordinating big projects with like a ton of other people. And the people you got to deal with are different types of people, right? So you need very advanced communication skills and interpersonal skills and collaboration skills and all that kind of thing, right? So you apply for a project manager job and they ask you, what are your strengths? Okay. And you say, well, my biggest strength, according to me, is the fact that I'm a real people person. I can connect with many different types of people. I can work well with many different types of people. I really spend time building relationships and making sure everybody likes me. And, that's my greatest strength. Everybody wants to work with me by the time I'm done, and they enjoy working with me. And the recruiter hears this and says, no, that's not what we're looking for. I mean, this is for a project manager, but you're not running a team and you don't really have to interface with anyone really except your boss. And what we're looking for is more of a technical type person who's going to be at their desk working on accounting and not off socializing all day long. If you're the type of person that socializes, you're probably going to be out by the water cooler, goofing around with everybody and talking all day instead of being at your desk doing the accounting. So, no, I'm sorry. That's not what we're looking for. And you fail the question. You see what I'm saying? They want to hear strengths that they consider strengths, not strengths that you consider a strength and you're very proud of, but it doesn't have anything to do with this job. Does that make sense? A lot of times you won't know that it doesn't have anything to do with this job because they haven't shared the precise nature of the role with you yet. It's a project manager job, you need some accounting skills, but you're just assuming they would need lots and lots of social skills. And you're assuming that you would have to connect with many different types of people, right? So you're speaking to that. But as it turns out, unbeknownst to you, that's not required. So when they hear you going on about the things that you think are the greatest things about you, it's falling flat. So that's why this is a real issue, okay? You consider the things strengths. What does the interviewer consider strengths, okay? Now, how do we find out what kind of things the interviewer cares about and wants to hear? The answer is the job requirements. Because they've told you in the job description, they've probably said, we're looking for someone that has, this and this and this. They have this education, they have these skills, they have these experiences, right? So that they care about those things. So when you talk about what your strengths are, if you can speak to those, you can do them reasonably well, you consider them strengths. It's reasonable to suspect that when you start talking about those things, their ears pick up and they go, okay, yeah, now that's what we want to hear. That's what we're interested in. Okay, great. So it sounds like you're a fit. What you consider to be your greatest strengths, that's what we happen to be looking for. So, Okay. So that's why you can't just answer this question off the top of your head. The safe material is the material they've already told you that they care about, okay? There's going to be other things too that they care about that they haven't revealed yet, okay? But you go with the stuff they care about, okay? So I'm trying to understand my own presentation here. For both forms of the question, okay, so whether they're asking you what are your strengths or they're asking you why should you work, why do you want to work here? Or why should we hire you, I should say, you give the same answer, which is you go down the requirements listed in the job posting and you speak to each one. So for example, if they said, what are your strengths? You would say, well, and the job description says they want someone with 5 years experience in project management. You start off by saying, well, probably my biggest strengths is I am a professional project manager. I have 5 years experience in project management, and I know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm very good at it, right? And then maybe they've also said, we're looking for someone who has this accounting certification or something. Then you say, another big strength of mine is that I'm a fully certified accountant. So when it comes to doing accounting, I know my stuff, I'm on my A game, and I can handle any type of accounting challenge or task that the role requires, and then you keep going, right? So everything that they've said there, you could potentially go down each of the requirements and talk about it. Now, what does speaking to the requirements actually mean? What do I mean here? Because let's face it, a lot of times you'll apply for a job and you'll get an interview, but technically you didn't meet every single one of the requirements that they listed in the job posting, right? You might have most of them. You might have, say, 7 out of 10, but there's 3 on there that technically you don't have. It says they're looking for 5 years experience driving a forklift. And maybe you took a training course on how to drive a forklift once, but you never actually worked in the warehouse and you never actually drove a forklift. Okay? So maybe on your resume it says like forklift certified or, accomplished, training course in forklift, but you haven't actually worked as a forklift operator at any point in any job. So how do you speak to the requirements when you don't technically have it? Well, here's the deal. You could not mention it, right? That's one option. But assuming you have the time to keep going, I recommend that you do speak to the forklift certification. What they're wondering is, okay, this forklift requirement, obviously it's not a hard requirement. It's not a deal breaker if you don't have it, as evidenced by the fact that they've brought you down for the interview, even though on your resume, it doesn't indicate anywhere there that you've got, 3 years experience driving a forklift. Okay. So you don't have that. So it's obviously not a hard requirement. It's probably a nice to have, right? If you can see my fingers, my beautiful sign language here, it's nice to have, right? Sorry, gesture, not sign language. There's all kinds of gestures you could do. I don't know if I want to do any more of them here. It's a cultural thing. Anyway, so you don't have this, but I would still speak to it. What they're wanting to know is your lack of forklift driving ability going to be an issue if we hire you? That's what they're wondering. It may not be a hard requirement, but occasionally the project manager may need to drive a forklift. And if that happens, they want to know that this will not be an issue for you. So during your answer to the question, what are your strengths? If they've listed a forklift, certification or 2 years forklift experience on the job posting, you can say, well, another one of my strengths is that I'm fully certified to drive a forklift. I haven't worked with 2 years experience full-time driving a forklift, but I have taken the training course. And if I need to get back behind the wheel of a forklift, I could do it with very minimal, remedial training. It would be very easy. Within a day, I'd be back to being able to operate a forklift. So it's not going to be an issue, right? So you're addressing it. You're speaking to the requirement. You're not necessarily saying you have it because you don't have it, but you're assuring them that if you do hire me, this requirement's not going to be an issue. Maybe they say you need 5 years experience in customer service. And let's say you only have 6 months experience in customer service. It's not the main point of the job, but it's something they've listed as a requirement. You could say, well, another one of my strengths is that I know how to do customer service. I don't have 5 years experience customer service, but I have done it for 6 months. And also, for the last 10 years, I've been working with people that come from a customer service background. And occasionally when I take calls from customers or suppliers or any of these people. I follow all the same protocol, the phone protocol that they do, and I can help customers and partners and other external contacts just as well as my coworkers who have 10 years experience in it. So I'm really not worried too much about that element of the job. Something like that. And it puts their mind at ease that that's not going to be an issue for you. Okay. I'm going to get to questions in a second. I see some questions piling up, but don't worry, I will get to them in a second. I'm just going to finish this answer here. Okay, so that's what I mean by speaking to the requirements. So when you answer this question, you speak to the requirements. If you meet the requirements, it's very easy to talk about them. If you don't quite meet them, I recommend that you still bring them up, but just you don't necessarily, you're not going to lie about having them, but you're going to say, this is not going to be an issue. Okay, that's basically what you want to tell them. It won't be a problem. Okay, the other thing they're looking for from vast majority of jobs is they're looking for soft skills. Okay, hopefully everybody knows what soft skills are. That's like, being likable, having good communication skills, good collaboration skills, conflict resolution skills, public speaking skills, presentation skills, negotiation skills, all that kind of stuff. That's all soft skills, right? So a lot of times in job postings, they don't explicitly mention these. They don't say we're looking for a self-starter, who has great communication skills and great written communication skills, and they're very easy to deal with on the job in the work environment. Stuff. They don't say a lot of that stuff usually, but it's implied, right? And a lot of times, the job interview is actually about soft skills. Your resume and application was about technical skills. That's what they got from your resume and job application. Do you have the technical skills to do the job, right? But when you get to the interview, it's more of like, okay, what are you like as a person? Let's see your soft skills. Are you professional? Are you likable? Do you have any charisma? Are you easy to deal with? If you go down there and you're like really, upset and you get angry and offended over every little thing, and then you look very hostile to them and they don't really want to deal with you and they don't enjoy dealing with you. It almost doesn't matter how good you are technically. They don't want to hire a person like that and work with them every day, right? So soft skills are always going to be a requirement, okay? So the big question is, when you answer this question, what are your strengths? Do you go into your soft skills, okay? Now, I have a complex answer here. I would say for the vast majority of jobs, don't go into them, okay? Because saying that, I've got good communication skills, I'm a very likable person, it's kind of silly. The fact that you say it doesn't prove anything. They are, like it says, they're demonstrated, okay? So they will already know if you're a good communicator and you're likable by what the experience has been like in the interview thus far. Right? So you don't have to take up time mentioning these, okay? However, I know a lot of people do recommend that you do this. So I still say no, but the one advantage that it can provide is if you're going for like an entry-level job or a worker-level job, by mentioning the soft skills, what you're doing is you're signaling that you understand that they are important, okay? So that's like, something that's important. Like, I know that this is important, and so that's why I'm mentioning it. Some people don't even realize they're important, so you have an edge over them. The other thing is that you have to kind of sometimes guess what the soft skills they're looking for are. We're back into that territory. If they haven't mentioned it on the job posting, I would steer clear of it, personally. A good compromise is to mention one or two obvious soft skills necessary for this position. Not general soft skills, but specific skills that would be necessary in this very specific role. So if you know that project managers need to have very good conflict resolution skills or very good diplomatic skills, I would mention those maybe. Okay, but not like general skills like, oh, I'm a good communicator. That would just be my personal recommendation. It's up to you. There's pros and cons to doing this. A lot of times, it would be good to just speak to the hard requirements, the technical skills. And usually that gives a long enough answer to begin with. You don't have to then go into soft skills. Okay, so that's pretty much the gist of this question. I wish you the best of luck if you get asked this. This is a great question to be asked. And you are awesome, every single one of you.